Hello everybody, Dave Neal here, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News. In this video, I talked to Brendan Quinn Scanzano, Brendan S., good pal of the North Canadian Brendan. Of course, he was just on Bachelor in Paradise's premiere Canadian season, which was just picked up for a season 2. And congratulations to all involved in Bachelor in Paradise Canada. And also, of course, he was on Katie Thurston's season, most notably hockey teammates with Blake Moynes, who won Katie's season. And then, of course, they have since broken up their engagement. I talked to Brendan about a whole bunch of things, including his relationship he formed on the season. And just hold on a second. If you didn't watch Bachelor in Paradise Canada, that's okay. You can hang along. We catch you up from beginning to end. It's one of those relationships that he had that actually ended very well, if it's even over. We're not sure if their relationship's over or not. It was kind of left on a cliffhanger there. We'll get into all of that and kind of what it's like going out as someone who's been on The Bachelorette, been in Bachelor in Paradise, people that come up to you asking questions, a lot of that kind of outside of the Bachelor world we talk about. You're going to love this conversation. And also, if you're new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button if you haven't already. And if you want to join our private membership-only community, go to patreon.com/Dave Neal. I have a stand-up show tonight. If you're catching this in Los Angeles, go to my Instagram @DNeals to get the info for that. That's Thursday tonight in Los Angeles at a fun West Hollywood location. And without further ado, enjoy my chat with Brendan.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere, right? So
it sure is. All right. Well, let's get right into it. I'm here with good friend, friend of the North, Canadian, the man, the myth, the legend, Brendan Quinn Scanzano. Are we going by Brendan S? Is that what the official?
I mean, at this point now, I like having the S as the, just to represent who I am. There's a lot of not good Brendan vibes in Batch Nation this year, so
oh, really?
I gotta move myself over a bit and carve my own path. So yeah, Brendan S is good though. Brendan's good. You're Uncle Davey, so we're just family at this point.
That's right. Uncle Davey, glad to be here with you. So I just watched your finale, Bachelor in Paradise Canada. I wanted to quickly, a lot of our audience hasn't seen the show, so I wanted to quickly take us through the timeline of the full season. We start with you as the first person at recess, if you will.
Yeah.
You're alone at the bar. You grab a drink. What's going through your head?
Well, I mean, if we step back a bit, I sort of had a feeling I was going to be first on the beach. Just from coming off my season of The Bachelorette, they're like, you should be ready at this time. It was fairly early, and I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to be the first, which I was nervous about, but at the same time, I was like, this is going to work into my benefit, no doubt. Get off the boat, meet our host, Jesse. He's incredible. And you're just kind of looking around. No one's there. You're like, okay, take a deep breath. And you see Kevin at the bar, mixing up the drinks. Grabbed a beer, of course, and just sort of started talking, congratulating him on, Astrid being pregnant at that point. So that was big news in Bachelor Nation. So kind of shoot him a congratulations. He's asking how my journey was on The Bachelorette, kind of shooting the shit a little bit. And next thing you know, Ileana walks down the beach, and my heart was pounding. I was like, here we go. I'm in it now. I can't turn back. So I was very fortunate, though, to be first on the beach, because I have no idea how people come in later. It's insane.
Well, it is the first season. They just did renew for season 2, and you're basically on a lakeside beach. You're getting shipped in on a pontoon boat. I don't know if this is an accurate portrayal of Canada, but it for sure hits all of my boxes. Now, did you know, because when I looked at the cast list, I'm immediately going, Brendan and Ileana, let's go. Let's get it. You know what I mean? Both good looking, the blondes. You got your Italian kind of heritage thing going on. Did you know she was going to be coming down the dock there?
See, the thing is, I had no clue with anything going on. I was probably, I'm sure there were some people that knew who was going to have a potential to be on Paradise Canada, but I only really had 2.5 weeks to prepare for it between the shows, between Bachelorette and then between Paradise. So I had to pack. I had no idea who was going to be there. And I knew there was going to be new people from Batch Nation. I didn't really know how that was going to turn out. So, I had no idea Ileana was going to be there. I was super happy when I saw her. I was like, as soon as I saw her, I was like, yeah, this is, tunnel vision. just, stick with her.
This is,
but obviously,
sorry.
It was a good match though.
Yeah, this is why I love watching the show because I'm in a relationship. Your long-term relationships, you just start living vicariously through other people. So I'm like, let's go. I'm like rooting you on. My favorite part, so you guys hit it off pretty much immediately. My favorite part though was, as the episodes come along, they start just bringing in that pontoon boat just keeps bringing in new people there, and there's going to be wandering eyes. Ileana was asked on a date. She went on a date with somebody else. You're in, and then the role on Bachelor in Paradise to not lose your mind while the person you like is dating someone else is the most fascinating case study. And my favorite part was you're kind of hanging out at the bar. You're waiting to see if she's into the other guy or if she's into you. And then she kind of gives you that, like, hey, you're the one. And if we all start cheering, the guys are pushing you around. What was that feeling like?
Oh, that's so funny. Well, just like you said, it's almost like it's like a human study. And like even Kevin, the bartender, he even calls it like a social experiment. This is what it is. And in any real world situation, if you are in a relationship with someone and living with your girlfriend or boyfriend, if someone goes out, say my girlfriend goes out, I'm sure she would get hit on. Someone buys her a drink. You just don't see it in front of your eyes. And that's one thing you can kind of push it away and not think about that in a relationship. But when everything's happening in front of you there, someone kissing the person that, maybe you're in love with or you're falling for, the person that you are in that relationship with, you see them holding hands, it screws with you mentally, and it does bring out insecurities even if you're not insecure, and it brings out jealousy even if you're not a jealous person. It's just really, you gotta contain yourself, and you gotta, it's kind of like therapy in a sense. And I really used even my ITMs and just my producers as my therapist in a sense. You got to talk about your feelings, you got to cry, and if you're upset about it, that's just the way it is. But when she came back after the second date with Adam, I was so happy. It was literally, I think I told her, like, it was like 200 pounds lifted off my chest and my shoulders. And I felt so good. And I knew after that, like, there's no one else coming in that's going to take me away. And there's no one else, like, she's not going to go to anyone else now. So now at this point, it's like, focus on us and see if we can get to the engagement or leave Paradise together. Now,
because we saw with other couples where like they would go on dates with someone else, and you can see people lose their mind. Now, like you said, with regards to the case study, you don't have your cell phones, you don't have newspapers, you don't even have anything to kind of keep your mind. Like when we watch like this season of Bachelorette, they're doing fantasy suites. There's two guys hanging out on a couch, and then the fireworks start going off, and it's like, that someone else is in the hot tub with your lady. I mean, it's wild, the level of trust you have to have. But at the same time, if you were to come across as super jealous, that's a red flag for Ileana. She got to see that you were able to like feel your feelings, but also be like, trust the process, trust who I am. And that in and of itself is an attractive kind of trait,
Yeah, Dave, like even our first, I think the first episode, but it was our first evening when we shared our first kiss. Like, she was the girl I wanted to pursue, and I was still open-minded about other people as well, because we had that chat that if new people come in, it's only fair to explore that, and that was totally fine. But there was no one that caught my eye or made me feel the way she did, and everyone became almost like family there for me because of like Cabin 24, and then Camille in my cabin, and I helped Caitlin and Camille come together. And it's just a weird thing in the end. It's like, you don't want to go for your buddy's girl. You don't want to do this. So I was open-minded early on, but once I had that connection, I didn't want to lose that. But also, if someone does go on a date, when Adam pulled Ileana aside a couple times, she would just give me like that reassurance. Like, she would either like grab my shoulder, or she would like smile at me and say, we'll talk later. Like, she always reassured me. She didn't just leave. You have to have that thing in Paradise that just reassures one another. So when she walked away with Adam on the second date, she just grabbed my shoulder and she said, we'll talk later. Everything's going to be okay. And just kind of that reassurance does help, even though it's hard to see her walk away with another guy. It's just that little reassurance. It takes a bunch of weight off your shoulders. So your communication is huge. Communication's huge, but not even in a talking way, just the little actions you do there.
Yeah, it's fascinating. And of course, you don't know what to expect. Bachelor in Paradise Canada, first season. when you mentioned living in the cabins, what was it like to, because you had these kind of little bungalows like summer camp. What was that vibe like with the other guys and also the other girls? Were there moments where the cameras were off where you guys were canoodling, or was it all like you stay in your cabin until the cameras are ready to roll? We need to catch the footage.
Yeah, just kind of a day to day was just like wake up, breakfast, coffee. And then producer would just say, you 30, 40 minutes to get ready and let's start the day off. Cabins were separated. I had Camille in mine, Chris, and then David. But at that, after those two guys left, it was just Camille and I for the most part. And the other cabin had all the other guys. So it's weird because the Bachelorette is so bro-y, I feel like, because you spend more time with the guys. And Paradise, you're spending time with the guys at night and talking all night about things. But throughout the day, like you have 3 weeks to, for potential engagement. Like I'm not wasting my time hanging out with the guys. I'm doing everything I can to just get to know someone. And I think that only makes sense. So if you stay in your own lane and you stick to the girl you want to be with and you're faithful, just like I said on the reunion, I was like, you people talk shit about you. They're like, oh, well, you're not exploring paradise. You're not doing this. But if you go around and you go on multiple dates and you're bouncing around, people start calling you out too. So I learned very early on to just do what makes you happy. That's the only thing, and that's all I did really moving forward through my whole journey there from day one to the end. So
now as the season progressed, working towards the end of the season, did you think you and Ileana were going to make it work, or did it just feel like a summer fling?
No, you know what? There's a lot. We all know in Bachelor Nation, there's so much that you don't see from just all the edits, but we had the talks about engagement. We got to that point where we had to start talking about it, whether or not we got engaged or not. We had to talk about it, talk about rings, talk about, we both got to Paradise looking, well, we went into Paradise looking for love. We found that. Did we cross engagement off the list when we first talked about it? No. But I also reassured her saying, we came here, what we're looking for, like, it's okay if we just leave together. As time went on too, we didn't want to pressure ourselves with going into the outside world with so many expectations, especially with viewers expecting us to get engaged. That was a lot of pressure on us. We knew even like as how our journeys were unfolding, viewers are going to think that we are engaged. Even when I went out in public up until the other day, people think I'm engaged, because they were so confident with Ileana and I's relationship, right? So, we got to that point where, what made sense. We both kind of knew, even if we broke up and didn't leave Paradise together, she would be the first person I call right after, and she would be and I'd be the first person she calls right after. So we knew we would stay in touch, and we had unconditional love for each other. We just didn't want to put that pressure on ourselves. And you know what? If we broke up and maybe find it in the real world and rekindle things, that's really all that mattered to us. Because we knew we weren't going to be mad at each other if we broke up. We just weren't maybe ready for that pressure in the outside world.
There's a good case study of that with Becca Kufrin and Thomas, where she broke up on the show, and then weeks went by and they said, you know what? It just doesn't sit right. And so I do believe in the power of love to find itself if it really is meant to be. Now, Ileana said when you guys did break up, we might just be on two different pages. And then she says maybe this was a teen summer camp love. When she said two different pages, are we talking logistics of her being from New York, you being from Canada, or what?
Yeah, that's a great question, because we actually had a conversation, and I think anyone in a normal world, dating someone from your own hometown, your same bubble, your same city, someone who lives 10, 15 minutes away from you, that makes sense logistically, but maybe emotionally it doesn't make sense, deep down. But it makes sense in the logistical terms, 100%. But the one cool thing that Ileana told me, she's like, this doesn't make sense logistically at all, but like emotionally, this makes total sense. And that was the first time she really had that experience, and I was super happy about that. So the emotions, I think she got scared. I know she's a type of woman, when things got really real, she would get a little nervous because of the commitment and all that. But I think in the end, we just wanted to we knew we loved each other. And even if we were separate ways, we would call each other right away. And that's the first thing I did. I got my phone back. I didn't even have her phone number. So I go on Instagram, like, babe, hey, are you okay? And she's like, yeah, babe. Oh my God. Hi. And it's one of those things where it's just, we have so much love for each other.
Did you even know of her? Did you know of her beforehand? Because, you know, when there's all these auxiliary characters from Bachelor Nation, she was on the American Bachelor. Did you know her?
Yeah, no. I didn't even watch the American Bachelor because that was Matt James' season, and Katie was on that season. So I tuned in maybe a week before Katie left. Like that was probably week 4, maybe week 5 or something. Yeah. Because since I was going through the casting for the Bachelorette, I'm like, I guess I have to watch the season a little bit. So I had no choice. Like I don't watch those shows whatsoever. So
you're like, I got to do some research here. I don't want to look stupid.
Yeah, I'm going to look ridiculous. I don't know who the Bachelorette is. So no, I didn't know anything of Ileana whatsoever, which is probably the coolest thing.
But let's be honest, you must have had a very deep dive looking at her Instagram photos, because there's nothing better than scrolling through someone's Instagram feed. That was your first time getting to see her social media curation.
Dave, it was weird because my Bachelorette was filming, or it was like 2 episodes into our season. And so when I get my phone back, phone's exploding. Even when the new people were coming on the beach, like, oh, I just watched you on TV in quarantine. I was like, whoa, like I totally forgot that was going on because I was so focused on Paradise. So they're like, oh, I just watched you. I was like, oh, like, how's our season going? Like, how was episode 1? How was that? It was just a weird transition. And I kind of totally forgot that our season was airing at that time. So when I got my phone back, it was like hundreds of messages. Instagram was blowing up. And then the first thing I'm going is like typing Ileana's name. And then that's the only contact information I have. And then right away she messaged me back. And that's sort of, we like I said, nothing's going to stop us from communicating all the time. I check in on her all the time. She checks in on me, FaceTimes, calls. So it's kind of like it's a good thing. I'm happy with where we are. And I think the way we ended things just made us, I think it brought us closer in a sense, even though she's in New York and I'm here. It brought us closer in that sense with just respect and how much we do care for each other. Because if we ended on bad terms, I wouldn't have this opportunity. So when I saw her at the reunion, it was so nice. It was so nice to see her.
It's very hard to end things so with equal respect there. You both shared Instagram posts kind of cherishing the other, and a lot of people thought that there would be a door open for maybe a possible reunion. So could there be a chance that those different pages that you're on could get flipped to the same chapter?
Yeah, let's flip the chapter 7. Like, yeah, no, for sure. I know, no, that's something that we definitely have plans in the works to see each other. I think in the new year, and New York's not that far away. I just think returning to the real world after Paradise, it was a lot, for her to go back to New York, get back into a routine with work and fitness, and just getting your life back together. And the same with me. Like I spent since March up until June, I spent away from home. So just getting back in the real world, there was so much. There was stress. Obviously, you're coming back, you're paying bills, you're doing this. You got to get your home organized, unpack again, do laundry. So I think when she got home and I got back home, we took that time just to kind of get back in our routines and then sort of jump back on the wagon and communicate and just say, I would love to see you. I'd love to plan something. I did. We did try to plan something. I was going to go to New York, but she was just busy with some work things and seeing family and just catching up with friends, doing all that normal.
New York is a blast. It is a beautiful. Yeah. Have you been before?
Never been to New York, and I've been everywhere but New York. But I know you were there with Blake or other buddy from the north here.
I'm still hungover. I've learned my lesson on not keeping up with the Canadian ability to drink. That's for sure.
He can pound them back a little bit, eh?
Yeah, he was great. I was riling him up, which I love to do. I love to get the boys riled up. I was like, because obviously Blake and Katie were still together, and right in front of my lovely fiance, I'm like, Blake, if we were single, we could have any one of the girls in here. And he's like, yeah. I had him going like Braveheart. We were ready to go to war for each other.
That.
Yeah,
and I love that. He just goes with it too.
Yeah, and then Katie and Tasha are looking at each other like, can you believe these guys? Like as if they couldn't have anyone they wanted in the bar. But
just rolling their eyes like, okay, see ya.
So you talk about getting back to your life back home. Obviously, like you said, you've back-to-back seasons, this and that. It's very hard to find people that you can bond with over shared experiences. Like for me, the guys that I studied abroad with are like brothers for life because we had this very unique experience. Did your connection with Blake become a stronger connection, having both been on The Bachelor, Bachelor in Paradise?
Yeah, I think, we always had that friendship growing up. And as you get older and older, it became definitely, we gelled more. But I think we can relate on just the stuff we're going through, whether it's just like social media stuff that we have to deal with. People, if anyone heckles us or just negativity, we can just talk to each other about it. Being in that Bachelor world, it makes sense why everyone becomes so close, and it makes sense why everyone, even dating in the Bachelor world, becomes such a big thing because no one else understands about you guys. Very, very small percentage have experienced being on that television show. It's so weird to even think about. But yeah, with Blake and I mean, he just recently moved downtown Toronto. So he's out and about, he's pounding them back at the bar a couple nights a week. And then he's enjoying the nightlife and the city life. So we've been getting together quite a bit now. And I have to watch his dog next week, by the way.
Well, there you go.
He texted me. He's like, hey, I'm going to get a kennel for Coho unless you want him. And I was like, yeah, I'm taking him. Don't worry, I'm taking him. So
you saw
he's enjoying it, man. He's enjoying Toronto a lot. So
well, that's good. I mean, you're essentially two single guys. You're like Canadian royalty at this point. Are you? And now, when you talk about dating within Bachelor Nation, I can only imagine that it's very tough to get DMs from women, and knowing that if you you run the risk of being blasted on TikTok. There's all these things that happen. What's your trust factor like with that?
Honestly, that's like the biggest thing I always tell people. Like, if I usually go out on Friday nights and then I stay in Saturday, Sunday. When I go out, like, there'll be some cute girls at the bar, like some, they'll just be hanging out, and they're the type of girl that I'd buy a drink for and have a conversation. And it happened last week. It usually happens every weekend, but last weekend it was like these two girls, and I was like, I might just go have a conversation. But then they came up to me for a photo, and then it was just like, okay, so I can't even. It would be so weird to even go that route after, and then you could see them follow me on Instagram, and you just don't want to go that route. It's you get more attention, but the trust factor. It's not like I wouldn't trust them. I just think it's weird, like, if you would go out on a date with a fan. Yeah. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. So that's why you just don't know what their intentions are, whether it's just wanting to hook up for the night and just tell the whole world, or it's very, very, you got to be careful. Like, I'm on my toes all the time when I go out.
It sounds very like macho to bring that up, but what we've just seen it with TikToks when it's like so-and-so's going to, whenever there's a new cast list, there's all these random, I bought the ref's hat just so I could like properly adjudicate who's in the wrong here, because I think we all as society realize, like, hey man, if you're single and you meet somebody, you don't need to blast them with a TikTok. Like, you're trying your best to live your life. I mean, when I was, sounds old, when I was your age, I was just a no-name comic living in New York who wasn't going to get blasted. If anything, a lady would be ashamed if she, woke up next to me. But, so I didn't have the verification and I wasn't commodified in the sense where, like, if someone takes a photo with you, they get to post it on their social media. It's kind of like a thing. Yeah. So I can understand having to watch your back. Now, I had a question. Ileana said something. I want to know what you thought about. She said, I think this was in the reunion or in one of her In the Moments. She said, there's a side of Brendan he'll never share with the world. What were your thoughts about that comment?
That's a good question. I don't really know. I just think with, maybe I wasn't I opened up my whole life to her and like told her everything. Maybe I didn't have too many deep stories or like something traumatic happened to me. Like, I didn't have traditional family life. I grew up going home to home most of my life, but um, a lot of people, and I think even producers, they saw me and they're just like, "Are you okay?" And I'm just like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Brendan, like you're always smiling. You're always putting on this good, like everything's good attitude. Like there's something that has to be bothering you. Like even Ileana going on those dates, like I was just went to the bar, had my drink, didn't really need to talk to anyone about it. So I think people maybe I held my feelings in a bit too much, a little bit, just thinking back. Um, like Ileana was, she's a woman who hasn't really made me feel that way in a long time. So I almost wanted everything to be picture perfect. And, even at the reunion, in a paradise setting, you're not going to say like, oh, you're doing something wrong or, you know, you're in paradise. Like you have no responsibilities. You're drinking for free. You're eating for free. You're on a beach. You're sun tanning. You're having fun with people. I mean, there's not much to complain about. So that's why in the reunion, when I said, you know what, like in a real world, like I'm a little bit different, when you're actually in a real world setting, maybe living together, going out with people, or even having a relationship outside of paradise, you're going to you're going to go through the ups and downs. Like paradise, everything is my biggest downfall, or like the hardest thing for me was seeing her go on a date with someone. Did we have to argue about anything? Like, no.
Yeah.
Right. Like paradise, you don't need to argue about anything, but in the real world you do. And then you can start seeing like who you really are as a person outside of doing television shows. But
yeah, that's a good point. That's a really good point.
It's there. It's almost, it's easy to, I don't know. It's just a very easy, like I know the process works because I fell in love there, and like the process for sure works. There's no doubt about that. And then, you know what, even Kevin said, like 1 week there is 2 months in the real world. Like even when Adam came in, like I knew like he was going to start a fire and do all this stuff too, but I knew I was like way up. Like she had to fall in love, like probably after the first date to like, for him to have any chance with her in a sense, because I was already there for a week longer. And we built something super, super, we had a great foundation to start off with. But yeah, in a real world, it's different though. You know what I mean? Like she would see a different side in like many good ways. And she would see a side where she didn't always want me to just agree with her. And like, that's one thing with her. She's like, I was like, yeah, I feel like we're on the same page and we're good. But she's like, no, like, tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong. I was like, at this point, like we can just, we're not going to see how this is going to work out unless we try it in the real world. Unless we're walking down the street together, hand in hand, people around us, seeing your day-to-day, seeing my day-to-day. Like, I'm not here to tell you my favorite color. What I like long walks on the beach. And, if you see me in a real world setting, that's the only way you'll know if this is going to work, which is true for a lot of couples. And that's why maybe a lot of couples don't work out in the real world.
It's so true. You just look at these case studies of like Claire and Dale. I mean, Dale had all these pursuits he needed to do, and Blake has his pursuits, and Katie probably thought they could have lined up. And you go, well, why did you do that? You just didn't know until you put it in the real world. My fiance and I, the best our relationship ever has been was the first 6 months of the pandemic, because we had no other plans. We get along great together. It's when I got to go do an event and she's got to go there. And then that's when the hard communication happens, because you kind of change the denominator to the relationship. But that's where you learn a lot about yourself and others. I'm kind of like you with like, I'd rather not get in a fight with my lady, and I would rather just not necessarily say things I don't believe, but I'll kick the can down the road to tough conversations, because I'm like, I'm a people pleaser. I want everything to be fine. So I've totally been in scenarios where I'm like, maybe I'm not telling you how I really feel about something, because I'd rather just get through this. And I think,
well, that's what I felt like. That's how I was. I honestly, the last week of Paradise, I was like, Illy, we can go, we can leave now. Like, come to Toronto, or like I'll come to New York. I'll fly out there. Let's just see if it's going to work out in the real world, right? So obviously we were the strongest couple, like not from what everyone's shown. Obviously I think other couples had a good run. Like there was Joey and Vay, they were a solid couple. Andrew Brendan had an up and down, but Illy and I think we were together all the time, and people really saw us getting engaged, I think, at the end. So or even just walking out of Paradise as boyfriend, girlfriend. But I was a people pleaser. I wanted her happy. I was happy as long as I was with her. And like, I think to simplify things, I told her at the end before we broke up, I said, you know what, I get it, but the only way you'll see how our lives would combine together. That's what I think that was her biggest scare. Ileana was just like, I don't know how our lives are gonna come together. Like, I don't know. I want to see us with like our friend groups together and our families. And it's like, well, you gotta do it.
Yeah.
To see it. I can't just tell you. Like, I can't just be like, oh, like my friends are great. They're gonna love you. Obviously, they're gonna love you. Like, you know what I mean? But bring me to New York or come to Toronto and then see for yourself. That's what I was preaching. I was simplifying it. Well, maybe I was just trying to simplify the whole leaving paradise thing. Like, leave with me. If it doesn't work out, so be it.
And look, I hate to make everything gender based, but I think, and I always get myself in trouble. I think collectively men are more like, hey, let's give it a shot. And women are more like, no, I need to know these logistics here because like there's a ticking clock there. Like, I don't want to waste my time if you're not going to be, the guy for me, or we have all these different logistical issues. So, there can be issues that exist there. But like you said, you don't know until you test it out in the real world. Now, I had a question. We'll get out of here in a second. My biggest critique of Bachelor in Paradise Canada, my biggest critique, or I should say disappointment, was that not enough people watched it. I thought the show itself, even if the budget was less than normal Bachelor in Paradise, I thought the show itself was produced very well. There was great drama. There was great relationships. I thought everything about it was good, except that not enough people saw it. That could be a good thing if you say you were made out to be a villain, which you weren't. But what were your vibes with doing the Canadian version of Bachelor in Paradise versus I guess I would say the Major League version over there in Mexico?
Well, just to start this conversation, I guess it's good for Camille, but no, I love Camille. He's my buddy, but he's been getting a lot of heat. But no, I honestly, I got the call. I remember leaving the Bachelorette, and the producers were like, there's American Paradise, but I know, you as a Canadian, the producers for Canadian Paradise, it's going to be their first season. They really want you. There's going to be other opportunities for Paradise America as seasons go on. So just give it a thought, just a heads up, they'll be calling you. And like at that time, I was still in my hotel room, exhausted. And I was like, I just want to get home. Because it took me 3 days to get home from the Bachelorette because my flights got canceled in mechanical error. So I was just, I got the call in Chicago. And Mike, the executive producer for Paradise, was just like, hey, he just told me all about it. He produced The Bachelorette Canada back in the day and The Bachelor Canada. And he just gave me a little brief, like how the whole process would work. He just said, there's going to be some beautiful women there. It'll be a good time.
Free beer.
Free beer, obviously. And he just said, the producer said, you were great on the show. You came off really, really awesome. You're very emotional. You're an open guy as well. And you're like, we're basically holding a spot for you. So I was like, well, I'm in Chicago. I can't say yes right now. I need a week. And I came home and I still like had a job to go back to work. And I was like, I was just brainstorming. I was just and brainstorming numbers and brainstorming everything, my life. My suitcases were still fully packed. And then I finally jumped on a call and had like an hour conversation. And I just said, give me another couple hours. I called my dad, and I was just skeptical too. I was like, I'm not going to find someone. There's no chance I'm going to find someone there whatsoever, let alone like my expectation was find someone, have a good connection with, leave boyfriend, girlfriend. I promised myself no engagement. So there's no chance of falling in love. And I think the unexpected is the coolest thing. But I did go in with an open heart. Like I wasn't 100% confident that the process would work, but seeing about it now, I just, as a Canadian, I felt my due diligence to actually represent Canada, go on the show. Production was awesome. Like they're incredible people. They really, since it is a smaller production, they treat you like their own kids. Like it's crazy. Mike, Claire, Keeley, just incredible executive producers. Kevin there was helping out so much. He was amazing. He's been through the process with Astrid, so he was a great guy. I spent so much time talking to him because he saw a lot of him in me from his experience with Paradise. He found Astrid. He was just kind of low key, wanted to just be with her the whole time. So we kind of had very similar journeys from what he was saying. But anytime I was going through a rough patch, I'd just be at the bar with my beer and Kev, talk to me. I need your advice, right? So I was happy to do this production for that crew, for the producers, and just kind of represent Canada. And obviously being part of the first season, maybe not too many people knew about it because it was a first season, not too much marketing. Obviously it was hard to get it in the States. You had to do a lot of streaming and do all that. But I think for season 2, there'll be a lot of changes, which is probably going to be for the better, with streaming.
I know they always have issues with like rights, but it's a big market. And once it did become known that you could stream it without a VPN, because that was the whole thing. You needed a VPN. I was trying to ping in from Toronto. I had all these things going on. And then I think they just were like, all right, we'll just give it to the United States. And they gave it to us like morning after. That's like a really big, it's like I said, maybe the strategy would be to space out the Bachelor in Paradise Canada from the American version, because like some people even said air it in the winter or do a winter version of it. That would be amazing. To have like a frozen lake.
No, it would be cool. It would be cool as a Canadian Paradise, like, even being in like Banff or out west with like mountains and you're in a hot tub outside or a heated pool, something really change it up a bit. But also football Sundays is tough. You're competing with the NFL. And I know a lot of people, right? So a lot of people are going to be tuning in. Like, there's a couple evening games. Like, it's not like it's all day. Like you're missing too many games, but a lot of people are just, football is still big here in Canada as well, especially in Toronto. We have a big market for NFL people, myself included, my dad. But a lot of people do record and watch on the Monday regardless. But to actually get those live stream numbers, those live viewers, that was a big competition, I think, with the NFL.
Yeah, and I think being in the forefront, a pioneer as you are on the premiere season, I think they're going to get much more hype for season 2. I'm sure a lot of people are like, "Oh, how's this going to be shot? Am I going to look stupid?" And I think they proved that it's got a great concept, a great landscape, location wise. And I would say more wholesome, but also edgier. You don't have the same FCC rules that the United States have. In the U.S., we're blurring out butt cracks and we can't say shit. We're all these things. In Canada, you're just like, oh, no, we're fine with that, bud. And it's like, geez.
No, you're right. I think with the censoring and the actual, I think the rawness of a lot of things, like just actual deeper conversations, actually showing, like, was everything showed between Ileana and I. Like, that's maybe one thing I wish, just leading up to like how our actually journey unfolded after the whole Adam situation. I wish there was a bit more shown, but you see the American version, like sometimes the actual solid couples won't get that screen time. But I think like it was still hot on the beach, but no crabs and the heat, it wasn't Mexico heat, what I mean? So I think anyone wanting to apply to the Canadian show and like any future, any Bachelor alums that are going to go on, like a lot of them do like the Canadian version like it's the same concept, but a lot of people enjoyed it. Like a lot of people reach out to me saying, I loved it. Like, I think it's hilarious. I think the people are great on it. It's a lot of people say it's more raw and real. But that's people just comparing. Like, I've only watched one season of the American show.
So if it doesn't work out with Ileana, we're leaving the door open. We're gonna follow both of you. We're gonna look at the clues. We're gonna track you guys like a hawk. But if it doesn't work out, would you do Bachelor in Paradise, the U.S. version, over in Mexico?
Yeah, you know what? It's totally the one reason why I would do it is because I know the process works. So I've already done it. So I'm not going in like I'm not someone who didn't find love on The Bachelorette, went on Paradise America, didn't find love, going on for like a third time. Like there's some people that did it a couple times. I know that you can get to an engagement. And if not that, you can leave there with someone. So I would do it for that reason, because I do trust the process. But also it'd be cool because I would probably know people going on to the American one. Maybe people from my past season, even people who I've connected with from Michelle's season right now, just reaching out to guys, them reaching out to me. It would be cool to sort of have more of like a Batch Nation family, that people that you recognize and
Absolutely.
you've talked to already, right? And obviously the American producers are like family. So talking to those guys on the daily, I message some of my producers, FaceTime them on the regular. It would be great to see them and work with them again as well. So yeah, for sure. If I'm single and I have the chance to do Paradise America, I would for sure do it. I would probably, I would have to go in with a little bit more, cause a little bit more drama, I would say. I would go in more open-minded. Like there's a new sheriff in town. I'm like the young grasshopper. Like I already put in a couple shifts now with shows. Now I've primed myself to be like the best version of myself. I've been in love before, but like I'm gonna stir some things up and bring my A game.
Is there a worry? Because this is the thing, right? You what do they say? Your heroes live long enough until they're villains. I probably butchered that quote. The point is, flying too close to the sun. I mean, we had people like Brendan Moraes who were well loved until caught on a hot mic showing a different side of him. And no one's perfect. We all have our good days and our bad days. Is there a fear that on your worst day, maybe you're a little you're a little hungry, you're hangry out there, or you got your heart broken, that you would say something that would get the nation to turn on you? Because in the end of the day, producers are going to air the most drama that you allow them, because that's their job security.
So I've learned like one thing I've brought into my real life from these shows is think before you speak. And I'm a guy who I can talk a lot of shit. I'm not scared to go up against guys, and I'm really good at comebacks. I played hockey. I'm good at chirps. I'm really good. And the producers know this, but I'm just the guy who thinks before he speaks. But if I actually just let my mouth go, like I remember on Katie's season, we had not the stand-up comedy, but the Great Royal Debate. I roasted everyone there. I was going after Hunter. Like I finished my chirp book. I basically called it the burn book. I finished that in 5 minutes. I had chirps, like 2 chirps for each guy. People are like, oh, like the guys knew that I have a lot of ammo if I want to, but I'm just a guy who thinks before he speaks. If I let myself go a little bit and just sort of didn't think, you guys would see some insane stuff come out of my mouth probably. But I think if I did have a chance to go on American Paradise, I would no doubt keep my mind open, because I can just say, you know what, being on Canadian Paradise, I really did have tunnel vision, and I don't regret anything I did. Like Ileana is a girl who I wanted to be with, who that I still do want a future with, if we ever do have that chance. But I think I would be more open on just going on dates. And you don't even have to necessarily think a date is to fall in love with someone. You can just have a date and go out and have a friendship from that, get to know someone. It's just, you're going to have a good time on a date regardless. But if you're not thinking like, oh, a one-on-one is strictly just because you're going to fall in love with this person, if you kind of change your mindset, say, let's have just a fun day together. Let's have a great day, and just be more open-minded with that. Cause I was pretty, when New Girls came on the beach, I was like, you know what? I've been with her since day one. So I'm unfortunately going to have to turn down this date, which at that point anyways, I couldn't even go on one. But even when new girls were coming in, the other girls would say I'm off limits. So it was when people look at me saying I didn't give anyone a shot, the girls had Ileana's back, and they wanted us to work out so well. So they were just protecting us. So girls would come in, sit down, and be like, hey, what's your name? They're like, oh, like, oh, I'm Maria. Like, so I know you're off limits, but like, how are you? I'm like, well, who told you that? They're like, oh, the girl said you're off limits. So I'm like, okay. Like, I'm fine with that. But that's what people don't see, but like behind the scenes, all the women want to protect each other. But when guys come in, guys just step on people's toes.
You know what? You hit the nail on the head. The women like to unionize, and the men are all for themselves. They're out there. Let me get mine, and that's
they're hungry, man. The boys are hungry. You got to eat, right? I was like, the boys are hungry, but the women have a bit more respect for one another. I think we had a guy come in, Connor. He's a great guy. He basically said, guys, listen, I'm in here late. Everyone is coupled up. Is like, can you just tell me like who to go for? Or I don't want to step on anyone's toes. I was like, dude, you're a good dude. Like, you're a good guy. And that's what I couldn't even imagine coming in late. Like, it would be it would be insane to come in that late when there's couples forming, like, and it's a tough scenario. I told everyone coming in, like, I was like a script. I was like, hey, yeah, don't know how you're doing it, but good luck and enjoy your date. But like, you know, don't waste your date on someone who doesn't have, or who has a relationship, because that one date card could change your whole journey into paradise.
Yeah, and
right?
that's what makes the experiment interesting, is that they bring in new people to the mix, and there's a lot of dynamics there, and who's staying around so they get a rose for self-preservation and all that. Well, listen, we got a lot to follow here, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it all unfolds for you.
Thanks, pal.
Is there anything else we can promote while we have you on here?
I mean, we should promote your page. I mean, I just want to say to your viewers, ever since your last video and our last interview, you got the most positive subscribers, I think, in the world.
Isn't it wild?
Like everyone's just so, they're just so fond of like you and your journey. Like some people have been with you since you started, like a lot of the people. Then from you, and then like the amount of DMs I got from just our interview and people just saying, I watch your Dave Neal interview. And that was more of like you know, this one was more like, this one was more lackadaisy because we've already had one before. But the first one, you know, opening up, people learning more about me, everyone, like anyone who follows you, like, is great. Great, man. You have great subscribers.
It's a huge point of pride that you say that. I really appreciate it. They're good people, and they raised $10,000 for Toys for Tots by December 1st. I was hoping to raise this by Christmas. They raised $10,000 for Toys for Tots by December 1st. They're just wildly supportive, and I'm glad that they've reached out to you. So everyone, if you haven't already, go give Brendan a follow. I'll post all your info below if they haven't. But
Thanks,
yeah, we're looking forward to seeing how everything goes for you, and I wish you and your family and everyone up there a happy holidays.
Thanks, pal. Hey, do you have a name for your subscribers, by the way?
I'm still.
Are they the Nealers? Like, they could be the Neal. Like, we got to work on one together.
I like that. That's a good one. If anyone wants to comment below, let me know. There's been a few people that, you know, they've tried a few different things, but we'll see what sticks. But I'm still I'm open for suggestions.
I'll brainstorm. But yeah, man, have a great Christmas. I'm working my way to Nashville in January, and then from there we'll see like where my journey takes me. But I'm gonna get my cowboy boots, go do some line dancing, and then maybe I'll work my way to California.
Well, we're here if you make it out here. I'll dust off the denim and we'll have a good time.
Get the Swiffer duster out, eh?
I'm ready to go. All right, everybody.
Okay,
that was Brendan.
Thanks, man.
Take care, man.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
All right, I hope you loved that chat. I always love talking to Brendan, and of course, he's a good friend of the community. You guys have been very nice to him, and it was such a point of pride to hear that he said we have the best audience that's out there. I completely agree. I think you guys are fair, kind, graceful, nice folks. So thank you guys so much for being a part of our community that we've built here this year. I appreciate you all more than you could even know, and we will see you next time later on for more content. Bye, everybody.